Every so often, I'll be approached by a band and request to review their own music. And for the most part, it's mainly been EPs, it's mainly been a song or two. Never have I been approached by a band to review an entire album outside of Atlas Volt. And I'm very pleased that they asked me to review their two albums that they have. They actually sent me the physical copies of the CDs of their EP and their full-length album. And I received them about almost a month ago, and I've been holding off reviewing their entire album only because there's so much music on this to deconstruct and decompact. I decided to really get into their music. I'm only really going to be talking about their full-length album, Momento Mori. Their EP is fantastic. It gives me a good flavor about what the band is about and what they can do, but I really prefer to deconstruct and really analyze the full-length album of Momento Mori. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, just to give you guys a good flavor of what to be expected in this. So let's just dive right in. So Atlas Volt is comprised of two very talented musicians. We have Adam Henson Chambers and Philippe Longchamps. So Momento Mori is less of an album and more of a catalog of music. There is a lot of songs on here. The running time is over an hour and 12 minutes, and it really feels the timing on there. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Music to really describe the difference between an album and a catalog of music. Dr. Music. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Oh, I guess he's not ready yet. So yeah, I guess the main. Oh, okay, I'm ready. Oh, okay, he's ready. Okay, here we go. Dr. Music. Hello, Dr. Music. And I'm here to tell you about albums and where they originally came from. Before recording, the only way you could listen to music was live. That was the only way to listen to it. Was live. And so when the recording finally came out, there was a discussion of how to present the recordings so that people could listen to them at home with the record players. And a lot of it was with classical music, because that was the main way of listening. The people that wrote, the composers, they wrote a lot. They wrote a lot of music, and so when they came to release the music, it was in an album form, like a photo album, and so that's where the term came from, with like a photo album with lots of sleeves. Again, like a book of pictures in a photo album. So you would get like a book with the recordings of those composers. So when the composers would release their symphonies or their concerts, it would be in an album, an actual almost book form. So that's the term album, and that's where that came from. So like a catalog is just, I guess, a big album, a bigger selection of music with the carryover. It's not actually a thing. So yeah, that's really how to put it. It is a catalog of music. It really gives us a flavor of what the band is capable of on all scopes. We go from really quiet and really atmospheric music with the opening track of Event Horizon, as well as Dreamweaver and the Dreamscape. This song is actually one of my favorite songs on the album, just with how atmospheric and how mellow everything is, but it's also got this darker overtone throughout the whole song, and this is kind of why I really like the band. It has a lot of those different interplays. While also really being able to balance those really heavy and almost metal moments on these albums, like Serenium Sculpti, and I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. While I'm listening to this, it almost reminds me of a Pain of Salvation feel, where it's got that rockish overtone without being metal and without being just straight up rock and roll. It's kind of that weird middle ground, and it's not quite grunge, but it almost reminds me of that kind of a flavor. So that's what I was listening to while I was listening to this album. There's some really great moments on this album that I keep coming back to and I keep thinking about. It's part of the reason why it took me so long to do this album review, is that, again, there's just so much to deconstruct and really think about on this album. So before I get too far into the music, as I already have, I do need to talk about the concept of this album. I really love a good concept album, and this album has a very interesting concept. It really talks about religion and the dangers of religion, especially within the past. And I guess even now, a lot of it has sound clips from Richard Dawkins and a lot of those really outspoken individuals against religion, and more of just praising of the cosmos and science. Although I'm a big fan of the praising of science and of the praising of the cosmos and everything that's in here, it almost goes a little, I don't want to say too far in the bashing of religion, but really pointing out the flaws in it, especially with the darker tones of those who are blind to faith are those easily manipulated by it. And those who are abusers of the power with faith are almost like the demons and the madmen. Although I like a lot of those concepts, and I do know that we need to think about this. Now, it doesn't really draw back the enjoyment of this album, but it does, on repeated listens, kind of get in the way a little bit. I feel like they took it maybe not a little too far, but they definitely were relentless about it. I kind of like the concept of listening to this album and then following it up with, say, Neil Morse's Testimony albums. I feel like the duality there would be really interesting. So I do like the different approach here, because I do know a lot of prog is very religious heavy, especially with Neil Morse. So I kind of like this contrast, this different, like the different flip of a coin type of thing. If you are very religious and you don't take kindly to those who challenge the faith, really be aware that this is a very heavy concept on this album. So do keep that in mind when you do check out this album, because it is an album worth checking out despite that aspect of it, if it is effective to you. So getting into the actual music found on this album, as I said, there is a lot, and I think they did this to really showcase what they can do. I'm really excited to see what the band can do after this, because they put a lot on this album. So it'll be interesting to see how they follow it up, if they decide to really hunker down and focus that lens, to focus that musical scope, instead of just presenting us with like the full musical landscape, and really hunker down and really challenge the form. Either they go into that really heavy riff, that really metal side, or they do the more atmospheric side, or even both on the same album. It'll be really interesting to see how they follow this album up. But I do need to talk about a few songs on this album. One of my favorite being Wrong, and again, this song is huge in the religious challenge overtones. They sprinkle it in with a Richard Dawkins quote from one of his documentaries. It's going on about, well, what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong about religion? And I like the concept, and even applying it to other things, it's a really good exercise mentally about challenging that which you almost take for granted, that which you automatically assume to be right. It's in that climax of the song, that build-up that we have. It almost feels like a Tool build-up. It's very heavy in the riff, where it's just the one chugging riff leading that build-up on with like a bass, that chugging guitar. So I really like that build-up. It's a really good kind of a challenging song, because the song itself, in terms of the riff, is challenging. It's challenging to the ears. It's challenging to you. So I really like how that song was presented.
You've been wasting precious time.
And as I already mentioned, I really like that Dreamweaver of the Dreamscape. It's got that dream-esque atmosphere to it. It's not as hard as Wrong, and it's, even with that Living a Lie, again, that very, you're living in a lie if you believe all this stuff, but I do like that Dreamweaver of a Dreamscape, where it takes that breath that we kind of need after those heavier tracks. And of course, we're then bashed right into Serenium Sculpti with the heaviest track on the album, and I really like that track. I love just how relentless it is and how heavy it is, and it just keeps giving and giving, and you're just like taking it, and it's a really great, it's just a straight up instrumental track. I also like how this album is started off with Event Horizon. It starts off very airy, and you don't actually know what you're getting into if you haven't listened to this album before. The first couple of songs don't really reveal too much about the concept overall, and I really like that. I like that they don't just bash you right over the head right from the get-go. It takes its time, and it's on repeated listens that you realize, oh, these concepts were actually in the first few songs, but the concepts aren't overly that heavy, as well as the tracks themselves. They aren't as atmospheric, and they are a little bit in the rockish tone, but it doesn't just beat you over the head right from the get-go. It builds on itself. And another really great track in terms of the subdued and the quiet is The Greatest Hoax. It almost feels like a Coldplay song at times, in the best sense of the word. Not like that mainstream, middle of the road. More of just like that atmospheric, that airy taste to it. I really enjoy and dig that track.
You read the book and gotta admit you've been fooled by the cover. Take one more look and you'll be amazed by what you'll discover.
And then it's followed up with We Create a Monster, another heavier toned track. So again, it has that concept that this album really presents all facets of music that the band is capable of in that cataloging kind of a style. So I really enjoyed that. At the end of the album, I am glad that the band didn't end on a downer. They actually ended on a very optimistic all around. Not just like only those who don't believe are gonna prosper in the world. It's very optimistic in true freedom. I really like how they closed the album with that concept of true freedom. This is a lot that many different sects of religion have, where you do have freedom, you do have that free will, you have that freedom of choice, and at the end of the day, it is still your choice to make. They're just providing you with their own stance, their own way of belief, and so you still, at the end of the day, have that true freedom to choose. I do like the music in this song as well. It's very optimistic. It provides that contrast that a lot of the previous songs have had, where they deal in the minor notes, where they deal in that heavy, really driving force part of the song. So at the end of the day, I really, really enjoyed this album. It's one that I've been going back to quite a bit. Part of that is just the scope of the music that they present, and each time I reapproach it, the more I actually like it. And I love an album that does that. I love an album that grows on you, and this album definitely has. Definitely, if you can, I have to say, pick up this album, if you can, in physical copy, because some of the artwork on this is just exquisite. This is one that you just sit down, you can put on, you can get drifted away, and I really enjoy it. What did you guys think of this album? Have you heard it? If not, definitely check them out. They are very well worth listening to, and if you're a fan of progressive rock, if you're a fan of those independent bands, this is a band that is deserving to be checked out. If at least just to see if it's your style. It was definitely mine, so I definitely say pick this up. It's a good time overall, and that's about it. Let me know what you thought about this album down below. And if you're an aspiring band, if you're an independent band, if you want a little bit of help, let me know and I'll definitely give you a shout out. If you provide me with some of your songs, I'll be able to review it for you. So yeah, that's about it. Note out.
Brain into a tunnel of light and into paradise. But that's actually not the canonical afterlife.
What if I'm wrong? What if you're wrong?